Dragon Age: The Veilguard. We're about 5 weeks past release, and I know I've definitely gotten lost on more than one occasion exploring all the ins and outs of this new experience. I wanted to dive into some tips and tricks for some commonly missed elements and features that I hope someone out there finds helpful. In this tutorial, we're going to explore features in character creation, enchantments, and interface customization. We're starting with character creation. Upon entering character creation, you're prompted to select a race. You have the option of elf, canary, human, or dwarf. Additionally, you have the option of importing a rook from the previous save. So if you have a look that you really like and want to repeat or work off of as a base, you can do that. So we're going to import my first rook. All this is doing is importing the data, which we can fully customize, and it will have no effect on our previous rook. You can select other presets that will change the pronouns, gender, and aesthetic of your rook and still return to your imported character. One major thing I've noticed being missed is the head shape section. Here you can select 3 different head morphs to make up the shape of your rook's unique head. These selections make a huge difference and often are the cause of certain features that can't be changed with the sliders, like nasolabial folds, eye and cheek shape, and the skin around the mouth. This window that pops up is asking to change the sliders to base value. I highly recommend doing this as it will show the head morphs as they are intended to look. Here you can see we have 3 different heads. The percentages displayed above show how much of the head morph is being used to make up your rook. This can be changed by moving the circle in the triangle. What I like to do is move it so it is at 100% for each head while I select the head morph. This way we can see the heads as they are meant to be. Here are all of the heads available. I do have several mods, including NPC head morphs, so you will not see exactly the same heads as you see here. After we have selected our favorite heads for each point in the triangle, we can move the circle to adjust the percentages of each head that make up our rook's head shape. The rest of character creation is pretty self-explanatory, with sliders for making adjustments to specific parts of the face. But one section that I have found pretty helpful is the scalp section. I found this very helpful for correcting overly large foreheads, especially with certain hairstyles. I recommend selecting your preferred hairstyle before making adjustments here. The profile slider adjusts the depth of the front and the back of the head. Scale adjusts the overall size of the top of the skull. I'll pick a different hairstyle to better showcase this. Height adjusts the height of the skull, decreasing the height of the forehead. We can also flatten the back, top, and sides. Something that always bothers me in cinematics is Rook's mouth. It seems like her mouth is too big, showing too much teeth. I don't know, it's just always off. I did find a pretty effective solution to this though. Decrease the size of the mouth. I recommend never adjusting anything to be 100% either negative or positive. The most I do is 90 or 95%. We want to avoid extreme features as it can often look wonky in dialogue. To make up for the small size of the mouth, we can adjust the width and the lip thickness. I found it looks best with higher lip thickness and lower lip size. When you reach the point of naming your rook, you have the option to customize the Inquisition. For those of you that haven't played the predecessor, Dragon Age Inquisition, this may not be important to you. If you choose not to customize the Inquisition adventure, you'll be left with the default state. This means a female elf inquisitor with no love interest, and the Inquisition was absorbed into the chantry. This option is often missed, and I feel like it can play a pretty important role for some people. Even if you haven't played Inquisition, I recommend at least changing the love interest of the Inquisitor to Soulless to spice things up a bit. After selecting the Customize option, this will take us to a summary of the Inquisition. Let's select Make Changes and then Edit Inquisitor. Here, we are back in Character Creator just like we did for Rook. When you have finished creating your Inquisitor, select Continue, and here you have the option of selecting a love interest. Not all options are available, as some characters in Inquisition have specific preferences. We're going to select Soulless, who can only be selected by a female elf inquisitor. Then we are prompted to choose if the Inquisition was absorbed into the chantry or disbanded. Then we choose whether the Inquisitor vowed to save Soulless or stop him. While we may no longer have our beloved Sandal, we do have our friendly Lighthouse Caretaker, where you can enhance your equipment and abilities. We're going to pick the Enchant option. Here at the top, you can select through Rook and all of your companions, and underneath that, abilities and all of the equipment categories. I think being aware of the equipment categories is very important. I switch out my equipment based on enemy resistances, and since there's no way to favorite equipment, adding an enchantment is an easy way to identify your favorite equipment. Plus, the enchantments are super useful. You want them on your most used pieces anyway. By using this window to add enchantments, you don't have to leave the Caretaker and equip a different set every time you want to add an enchantment. The Abilities tab actually does not become available until some time into the game. I can't seem to find a definitive answer for when exactly it becomes available, but the most popular response seems to be Caretaker Level 3. All abilities acquired through the skill tree will show up under the Abilities tab. Each ability has one enchantment at the very top that is specific to that one ability. The rest of the enchantments are available for all. The enchantments vary from increased damage, stagger, to cooldown durations. I recommend using the cooldown duration for abilities that don't require mana, rage, or momentum. You can add increased barrier or armor damage so you can take down enemy protection faster using designated abilities. And now for my absolute favorite feature in Veilguard, it's the interface customization. For the experienced RPG player, or if you're beyond your first playthrough of Veilguard, I highly recommend limiting the HUD and assistance options. By default, the game really holds your hand through everything. You're shown what direction to go to for your objective, where the objective is, where everything is on the minimap, and what your current quest objectives are. Along with seeing all of your abilities, health, and combat text, I found all of this very immersion breaking. I'm going to show you how to customize these settings to your liking. So here is the game with the default settings. As you can see, we have our abilities visible at the bottom, quest objectives to the right, etc. Then we have that awful combat text. No hate if you like it, you do you. But man, I do not want to have all this info on my screen. So we're going to change that. We're going to go into Settings, and we will be playing around with the Gameplay and Interface tabs. Let's scroll down to Wayfinding. The standard option is that it always shows objectives, directional markers, and interactable objects. You can change these effects to be stronger, but I prefer to disable all of them. The object glint distance, even at off, is not actually off, and interactable objects show up at a very close distance. I originally wanted to keep the option to toggle objective marker visibility with N, so I wouldn't have to pull up my map so often, but found the objective marker would show up at certain times even without pressing N, so we're turning that off. Next, we're moving on to the Interface tab, scrolling all the way down to HUD. The objective tracker refers to the text displayed underneath the minimap. You can adjust a few elements of your minimap, like changing the position to the right or left side of the screen, and whether the top point of the map is always facing north or the direction that your rook is facing. Personally, I'd really love a compass option because I never know what direction I'm facing when using fast travel, but until then, it's minimap off for me. Then we get to the combat text. You can adjust the size and opacity, but this baby's getting turned off. Advanced combat text adds specifics like weak point, headshots. We can choose to display health percentages, player health, and our abilities. I'm a huge fan of the tactical pause function like in previous Dragon Age games, so I never use the hotkeys for abilities and always use the ability wheel, which essentially acts like tactical pause. You can also change the activation type for the ability wheel, being a toggle or a hold. We can also disable tutorials and hints. Now, here is the gameplay without all the extra clutter on our screen. I really like the low health indicator screen effects. It makes a huge difference in my immersion to see the effects of low health instead of keeping an eye on my health bar. One thing that is unfortunate about playing like this is that I have no idea how many potions I have or how much ultimate I've generated. I randomly just press the ultimate hotkey, but when you've played enough, you kind of just get the vibe that your ultimate may be ready. So, there we have it. 7 or so tips for Dragon Age the Veilguard that I have found to make a huge difference in my experience. If you have any questions, would like more details, or have something you'd like to see me do a tutorial of, please let me know in the comments. Now go and lose yourself in Thedas, you crazy kid.